Hey bro, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and tonight I just finished watching episode 7 of Ahsoka, and I'll say right away, this is the first episode that feels like it is set up for the next episode. While stuff does happen, we don't get any like major answers, or like, you know, we don't get a lot of that kind of ending moment, like, oh my god, that thing just happened kind of feeling. You know, it feels like a lot of this really was just set up for the finale, which I guess if you're gonna do that, it would be during the penultimate episode. That way the finale can just start and it's just happening, you know. So yeah, basically all we got during this episode was that, well, first we got some pretty cool Coruscant New Republic stuff, and I'm glad that we went back to this, because if we didn't come back to this, I was gonna be like, it feels like Hera, remember, like they kind of set it up like, oh, the New Republic Council wants to talk to you, you're in trouble, you gotta bring Ahsoka back, and then Ahsoka left, and I was like, well, Hera's just on her own, and we just kind of left her there, you know. So I'm glad we did come back to that, because I was starting to feel like she's in trouble, right? Like, you know, so luckily they're having this whole council meeting. Of course, that one senator, the I forget his name, but the dad from the guy from Resistance. Anyways, that guy, that senator, he's being a dick. Of course he is. You know, he's talking about like, oh, Thrawn's not really important, and then they do bring up like, oh, what about the conflict on Mandalore, the thing that happened, Mando season 3, and they're like, well, that just proves my point. Moff Gideon was just like a lone element out there. He's not part of some collective giant threats, you know, like these Imperial remnants. He even mocks the term Imperial remnants, you know, so it kind of really puts you in this mindset of like, him and probably some other senators are like, they are not seeing this threat at all. And Harris says as much. She's like, I don't know what scares me more, the threat that Thrawn could come back and do this, or the fact that you're so blind to everything that's happening. And again, like we've kind of been seeing for the last couple shows now, you know, even Mando season 3 included, the New Republic is it's no wonder that the First Order was able to come in here and just wipe this thing out like it was nothing, because these guys are so unprepared. Like, it's such a obvious path now how Leia has to go form her own resistance that's not really part of the New Republic, because the New Republic sucks, you know. Like, unfortunately, like we've said before, it's just filled with all the red tape, political stuff, corruption, all that. Anyways, we do get a C-3PO cameo, which had been rumored. So he shows up in place of Leia, basically just saying like, oh, Leia sanctioned Hera's mission to that planet, so everything's fine after all. I just, you know, she forgot to tell anyone. Now, it's cool to see C-3PO, right? Like, definitely, like, obviously, you know, movie character that's easy to put in pretty much anything, because you just got to get Anthony Daniels in that suit, right? I mean, I'm assuming that was him in the suit. Or obviously it was him doing the voice, at least. Anyways, now on the other hand, of course, it's like, well, it would have been cool if Leia herself went there, and it probably would have made more sense. Or at the very least, if we got like a holo message from Leia. But then at the same time, I feel like that would have been a big distraction in the whole episode, because all we'd be talking about right now would be, oh, did they recast her? Did they use de-aging technology and reuse a bunch of footage? Was it an entirely CGI creation of Leia? Like, that's all we would be talking about, you know. And it would be like highly debated about whether you like the new actor, or whether they should have done this or should have done that. And I feel like they probably went the smartest way, was just like, just put C-3PO in there and say that Leia sent 3PO to deliver this message, you know. It's the smartest way of doing it. You avoid all of that mess, because that unfortunately, that's the truth, is that, like, because Carrie Fisher's no longer around, and because whenever they de-age a character, it's like this huge thing online, right? Like, some people hate it, some people love it. It all really just depends, you know. But no matter what, that becomes what the whole show is about now, you know. It just becomes about this one thing, even if it's like just a small cameo. So it was probably really smart to just like, all right, just have a way that way you can like have Leia there but not really there, because you know we got a whole show to do here. We don't want that to be the focus of this episode. So I'm okay with her not really being there, because I understand logistically it's like that would have been, you know, show stealing in multiple ways. Anyways, so Hera's kind of, you know, she's out of trouble, she's fine now. She goes to Mon Mothma and be like, hey, you know, the threat is real though, like I'm glad I'm not in trouble, but like really though, like Thrawn, we should probably prepare for this. And that's where we leave Hera for now, you know. So at least Mon Mothma, of course, is going to be the one who actually listens, and will probably be the only reason anyone in the New Republic is prepared for anything. So we go back and we have basically Sabine and Ezra. So they're talking about everything that's happened, and you know, she really essentially has to tell him about the entire original trilogy. The Empire fell and Palpatine's dead, or so they say. She says, or so they say, which is like, you know, it's a little meta, obviously, because we know that he is still around, and then, you know, this has happened in canon before, though. In canon, there have been like games and comics where some of the stormtroopers and some of the officers will be like, "Oh, Palpatine dying is just a rebel rumor. That's not really happening," you know. So like they do try to kind of suppress that. So like, you know, in universe, there are of course some conspiracies that he's still around, like what that would naturally happen, because only like one person is around to tell the story, right? Like Luke is the only one around who could have reported back, "Oh, he fell down the shaft. I'm the only one who saw it, who's around to say it now, but just take my word on it, you know, it happened." You know. Anyways, so basically, you know, she's reciting everything that happened, and then we have Shin and Balin, and they have caught up to them, and they're partnered with all those raiders now, so they're on not horseback but wolf creature back. They're riding the wolf creatures, so they're with all the raiders, and they locate Ezra and Sabine, and basically Balin's just like, all right, Shin, you go ahead and report this to Thrawn. You stop them, you capture them, you follow your ambition, and it's gonna lead you to great things in whatever this new empire is gonna be. Like, you take your place there. He says, your ambition leads you down a path, but my path is somewhere else. So I'm gonna leave you with these parting words about, you know, having a lack of patience for victory will lead to certain defeat. Basically, like, you know, be careful, right? Like, you know, have patience, be careful, be decisive, you know. And he's just gone. Like, he kind of just walks away, and he has a confrontation with Ahsoka later, which we'll get to. But I want to get into Balin a little bit, because essentially he's walking away as if he's never gonna see her again, right? Like those were like parting words to his apprentice, which I've had this theory. I put it out there on Twitter. I think the thing that he's gonna find is an infinity gate, which is a really old ancient, you know, Dawn of the Jedi level thing that I forget their names, but this species who basically went around the galaxy using these infinity gates, which are essentially teleportation gates, to teach other species about the Force. And then they are the ones who, you know, they ran into the Rakatans, and they taught them how to do it, and the Rakatans turned out to be evil. It's a whole thing. But this infinity gate, you know, this species is from the planet Dathomir, which with the new canon, how the Dathomiri are from this other galaxy, this planet, it all kind of fits together and it matches. And I've kind of theorized that Balin's going to find an infinity gate, and all that's going to happen is that he walks up to it, he activates it, he walks through it, and then we don't know where he goes. I think that's how this is all going to end. Balin is going to walk through that infinity gate, and we have no idea where he went, or who's on the other side, or what he was talking to. He's just gone, and that's going to like fuel fan speculation for however many years it takes before we get any answers to that, because it's going to be like, this infinity gate was here, that means this and this and this, and where did it go, and what's he doing now? You know, like that's gonna be like the thing. I think like that's gonna be the big lingering mystery of this show, or at least this season of the show, is where did Balin go and what's he up to? You know. Anyways, so Ahsoka has the Purgle show up, and of course there's instantly a bunch of mines everywhere. So they left mines, and the Purgle are getting hit, and so the Purgle blast off. They're gone, and so Ahsoka has to hide within the bones, the ring bones of the planet. And she's cool for a minute, but then the Night Sisters end up discovering her location, and so they, which I don't know if they needed the Night Sisters to be like, oh, she's specifically right here hiding in the bones, because Thrawn knew she was hiding in there. He just wanted her specific location. But to be honest, I kind of feel like they could have just shoot all of it, right? Like just start like bombarding the whole ring of bones, because eventually you're gonna flush her out. Like, are you trying to conserve ammo? I don't know. Like, so that was one thing where I'm like, I don't know why you needed the Night Sisters to do that, but okay. So they managed to flush her out, and so Ahsoka's running away from some fighters, and she jumps out the plane, or not the plane, but she jumps out her ship, and so Huyang is flying away from the fighters, and he's doing his thing, and so Ahsoka meets up with Balin, and they have one tiny little scuffle, right? And Huyang comes back and shoots a bunch of flares at Balin, so Ahsoka runs off so she can go help Ezra and Sabine. And Ezra and Sabine, meanwhile, are being tracked by Shin and all the raiders. And this little chase with the little turtle, they have like turtle carts, and they're really slow like turtles, but they can armor up, like they can completely enclose themselves so they're protected. And I feel like this is a very important part that everyone's like, maybe they didn't process this, I don't know, but Ezra straight up says, like, yeah, these are a peaceful people. They don't have weapons. They don't, like that. And Sabine's like, well, you said peaceful. I didn't know you meant defenseless, right? Like essentially their whole thing is that they move, they hide in their little turtle shells. Like they do not fight. They're not the fighting kind of people, right? And Ezra has been with these people, these like little nomadic hermit turtle people, for like almost a decade. He has not had his lightsaber this whole time. And so when Shin shows up with all the raiders, Sabine instantly tries to hand him his lightsaber, and she's like, take it, do the thing, it's your lightsaber. And here's my thing, guys. If you have been watching this show, and if you understand how storytelling works, if you understand that, throughout this entire show we have seen Sabine train with the lightsabers, get into lightsaber fights, try to become better with the Force, try to become better with the lightsaber. She's not gonna, they're not gonna write it so that she gives up the lightsaber and then she just never completes her training. Like the lights, like they've emphasized several times now that the lightsaber is hers, and Ezra even says as much, like, no, you've been training, I gave it to you, it's yours, take it, right? Like, I don't want that, I don't need it, I got the Force, and some people I've seen already are really upset at this, but I'm like, do you not understand what's happening here? Like some people are still kind of in denial that Sabine's gonna be a Jedi, but like that's, I don't know how much more setup they need, how much more slowly they need to like drip feed this to you that she's slowly getting better. How like Sabine keeps on trying to use the Force and then it doesn't work. Or we think maybe it works, but then it turns out that it was just a ship that was coming close, making everything vibrate, not her. This is how this works, like you slowly, you show her try and it doesn't work, and she tries and it doesn't work, and then episode by episode, because eventually it's gonna work, and eventually she's gonna just be a Jedi, right? Like that's how you show someone getting better over time and training. And I don't know what more people need. They thought that Sabine was going to hand this to Ezra, and Ezra's going to be like, all right, it's mine. Go get your own lightsaber. Get out of here. Like, no, that's not, that was never going to happen. My other thing is that, like, look at the way Ezra's dressed right now. He's gone full nomadic turtle hermit guy, right? Like he is very monk-like, very, pacifist-like. And like Yoda says, like the Force is my ally, and a powerful ally it is, you know, like, so Ezra's just gonna use the Force, you know, like, because he's so monk-like at this point that he doesn't even need a sword, you know. He's like, no, I'll just wrestle some people, you Force push a whole bunch, and that's basically what he does. But he's still being his very goofball self, so he's joking around the whole time, and they're all surrounded like, wait, you want to take us as prisoners, right? Like, don't you want to do that? Because that's like his whole shtick, you know, like he gets taken prisoner, he escapes, like that's what he does. So if you've seen Rebels, he's a joker, you know, like that's his thing. That's exactly who he is. So I feel like they're nailing Ezra perfectly, and he has become much more of a, you know, nomadic monk-like Jedi. You know, he doesn't need the weapon, you know, which I don't know, guys. Like this entire, here's my thing. I've seen some people already come out and be like, well, in Attack of the Clones, the Jedi were like, this weapon is your life, right? But the whole point of the prequels, guys, is that the Jedi were losing their way. They were becoming so militaristic. They were becoming so warrior-like. They were stuck in the warrior ways that, you know, ultimately by the time you get to Return of the Jedi, it's all about, you know, kind of casting aside your weapon, you know, when you don't need it, you know, like I don't know. It's weird that people are mad that Ezra's not, like, didn't instantly take back his sword. He's like, no, he's got the Force. All you need is the Force, you know, which, by the way, he survived that whole conflict. You know, he even pushed back, Shin tried to slash him with a lightsaber, and he even like did the Rise of Skywalker push against the blade for a moment, which I'm definitely gonna clip that and post that to Twitter later. That was pretty cool. But yeah, Ezra's a goofball. He's not like crazy strong with the Force. He never was, right? Like, he's a normal, you know, him and you know, whoever else would be like on the same level. He's not on Ahsoka's level, but him and Shin are probably on the same level, I imagine. Anyways, so all the troopers get carried, or they get called away. Thrawn's like, you know what? We're not gonna like lose more troops to this. They've all reunited. They're fine. We did what we really wanted to do, and basically his whole thing is like, Ahsoka, instead of coming to us and trying to stop what we're doing here, which is loading this ship up with whatever these sarcophagi are, so that way we can get out of here, instead of stopping us, Ahsoka went to Sabine, because we sent Sabine away. So Ahsoka went out there, they had their whole fight, they spent like all day fighting the Raiders and Shin and Balin and all that stuff, right? But you know what they weren't doing? They weren't stopping us over here. Like that's all just a distraction. That's just a waste of time. You know, like we did that so that way they could like do their own thing. And basically his whole thing is like, yeah, time's on our side though. Yes, they reunited and they're all a group, and that's great for them. But in case you haven't noticed, we have the only way out of here, and we're almost done loading our stuff. So we can get out of here by the time, like basically next episode. I don't even know if Ahsoka or any of them know how urgent the situation is, because they're gonna need to get the hell out. They're gonna need to rush back to Thrawn's ship, because Thrawn's ship is gonna leave the galaxy, and the Purrgil are gone now. So I don't know, you know, if you don't get there if you don't get there in time, you're stuck there. You know, like it's just over for you. So yeah. Things are kind of urgent, and I do kind of wish that they had emphasized that at the end of the episode, because like I mean, to be fair, I guess they don't know that. I guess Ahsoka has no idea that, like, oh yeah, Thrawn's just waiting until he's done loading his ship up and then he's leaving, and maybe they don't understand that that's about to happen. In any case, that's essentially the idea, and I do think that this season's essentially going to end with Thrawn's gone. He enters the New Republic, and maybe there's a little bit of a scuffle, but you know, we're not going to get a resolution to the Thrawn thing in this show. You know, like the movie or whatever ends up happening, that's where we're going to get like, okay, Thrawn is back, now what? You know, now he has a whole plan play out, right? So this show's going to end with Thrawn coming to the galaxy. Like that's him, that's the bad guys winning, is Thrawn came back. Hera's worst nightmare happened. Everything she's been trying to warn these people about is gonna happen. So the bad guys are gonna win essentially. Now, as far as what's happening with the good guys, what they're gonna be doing, I don't know. I don't know how they get out of here. They have to have some kind of warning of some kind that lets them know Thrawn's about to goddamn leave. And Shin looks like she's gonna stick with Thrawn and the stormtroopers, like that's what Baylan told her to do. So, you know, Shin, for a minute it looked like she was about to maybe stay with the team or surrender, but she ends up running. And then Ahsoka's like, whatever, let her run. She's, you know, Ahsoka at this point, she's so zen with herself, she's probably like, Shin's got to choose her own path, you know, like she'll figure this out. So Shin is definitely just gonna be with Thrawn, and that's like, you know, that's Thrawn just now has a force user, you know. Whereas even Thrawn is like, where's Baylan? What is Baylan up to? What's he doing? Baylan has been so secretive about what's going on and what's calling to him and what does he see, because he has this moment where he and Ahsoka were fighting. Ahsoka leaves after like all the little flares go off on the ship, and he gets knocked back. Ahsoka leaves, and you can see on his face, he thinks for a minute like, oh, I can go after her, but the thing I'm trying to go do is in the opposite direction. So he kind of pauses, and then he just goes the opposite way, because he's like, look, Ahsoka, Ezra, all of that stuff, that's not what I care about. I don't care about that. I don't care about Thrawn. I don't care about what these guys are doing. I came here for a specific reason, and that is the most compelling thing. And I think essentially the big, you know, cathartic, climactic ending that we're gonna get here is you know, Ahsoka and everyone's gonna be rushing to get back to Thrawn's ship, because it's you know, somehow they're gonna find out like, oh, he's leaving and we don't have another way out of here. You know, so they're gonna have to have that discussion real quick. And then Baylan, we're gonna probably see Baylan, if my theory is correct, Baylan's gonna walk through an infinity gate, and maybe he doesn't even know where he's going, but he knows that some power has been calling to him, and I think it's on the other side of this gate. And I think that's why he was talking to Shin as if he's leaving. You know, he's like, oh, one last piece of advice, Padawan, because, you know, that sure sounds like a bye. You know, sounds like, all right, I'm out of here. Don't know where I'm going, but I'm out of here. So he's very much on his own mission, and it's this huge mystery, and I love that that's like the thing right now. You know, that's where we were here last episode, but I think even more now that he's separated himself from Shin, now that Baylan's like on his own, it's like, okay, what is he doing? Where's he going? He's not interested in any, like, everyone else is playing this game, and he's off playing his own game. He's off doing, he went home, and he's, you know, like he took his ball and he went home, and he's not playing the game that everyone else is playing. Anyways, so yeah, that's essentially where we're at right now. Like I said, it felt like setup for next episode. That way, when next episode starts, we got the reunion out of the way. We got the explanation as to what happened, for the most part, out of the way. Sabine still hasn't told Ezra that, oh, by the way, the only reason that we're having any of this at all, and the only reason that we're here, is because I gave them the map, and that was my bad. I don't know if they will fully have that conversation in this next episode, or if we're gonna kind of just go past that because more important stuff is happening. Like I said, Thrawn's about to leave, and they need to get the fuck back to his ship. Otherwise, I don't know how they get back. Maybe they take the Infinity Gate. Wouldn't that be crazy? You know, like everyone just takes the Infinity Gate and they go to different places. Who knows? But in any case, yeah, next episode is the finale, and we're definitely going to see Thrawn enter the main galaxy, and that's essentially the cliffhanger ending that we're going to be on, where, you know, Hera's going to be like, shit, they're here. He's here. He won. Like, now we have a war. You know, like if they could have stopped him from being here, then we could have stopped this war from ever happening. But that's essentially been the real plot of this whole show, is like, stop Thrawn from coming back, and they're going to fail. And Baylan doing his own thing, that's great. That's wonderful. So yeah, I'm seeing people online already be kind of divisive about this episode, say like, this was just filler. But I'm like, people don't understand how you write things, I guess. Like okay, you want to have this epic finale where you get a lot of answers, right? Or at the very least, you get a lot of conclusions to things that were being set up. And what I mean by that is Sabine is likely going to do a forced push before this show ends. It's going to show definitively that, okay, after all of her attempts at trying, she finally can, in fact, wield the Force. And that's probably going to happen. You know, we're going to get an answer as to, like, what the hell has Baylan been looking for? Even if it's not fully explained, we're going to get some kind of answer. Thrawn is either going to leave this galaxy or not. He's definitely going to leave. Like, that's, you know, otherwise, what would be the point? So he's definitely going to leave this galaxy, and that's going to be, like, the lingering threat. You know, and then Ezra, I don't know what Ezra's place is in all this yet. You know, I'm sure maybe one day he'll make his own lightsaber, but, like, you know, the fact that some people are mad that Sabine didn't lose her lightsaber, that, like, this show has halfway, you know, it's been Ahsoka's journey, but it's also been her journey with Sabine and Sabine's journey to becoming a Jedi. So the idea that people are mad that Ezra didn't just take that lightsaber back, it's very silly. You know, it's, anyways. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes and how this ends. I mean, it's funny that we're in this part where, like, there are some parts, like the whole Thrawn aspect of it, it feels like we definitively know he's probably going to make it back to the galaxy. We don't know what's in those boxes. Probably zombies. Oh, by the way, it doesn't... Some people are saying that the stormtroopers are not zombies, which I don't know if they just meant, like, because they didn't explode with green smoke that they're not zombies, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. I mean, I know that we've seen that version of zombies before, but they could easily say like oh, these are something, I don't know, there's something, right? Like, there's a reason why they look all messed up, you know. I don't know if it really is, it can't just be wear and tear. Like, something's going on. I don't know if we'll get an explanation, or maybe they really did just think it would be cool and it is just wear and tear, and they're like, what if we you know, all this armor got broken in the crash, what if we kind of just made it look real cool, you know? I don't know. In any case, yeah, I thought this was a really good setup for the conclusion, you know. So while this episode itself didn't have, like, a lot of, like, crazy amazing moments where we're like, oh my god, I can't believe, you know, I feel like this was set up that way next episode can deliver on those moments without having to, like, go through all the motions that this one went through, because this one had to show the reunion and show the, you know, the characters had to explain to other characters things that the audience already knows, but those characters don't know that, so you have to do the groundwork to catch those characters up to where everyone else is, otherwise it doesn't make sense, right? So, like, you have to catch Ezra up to what's going on. You have to you know, you got to separate Shin and Baylan, that way next episode we know why Baylan's doing this over here and Shin's doing that over there, because they did it in this episode. You see what I'm saying? So, like, anyone who's saying this is just filler or nothing happened, you don't understand anything. I don't know. You're just a very silly, dummy individual. I don't know how else to put that. Anyways, let me know what you guys thought about episode 7 of Ahsoka. You know, we still have a lot of the same questions we had last week, and maybe that's really what's frustrating people, is, like, you wanted to have even different questions, but I'm okay with those questions, those very important, like, what the hell is Baylan doing questions, not being answered until the finale. I'm okay with that, because I think my theory is right. It might not be. That's okay. I'm okay if it's not. But I think even if it's not literally an Infinity Gate, I do think it is going to be something kind of, you know, what's the word? Amalgous to that. I don't know if I'm using that correctly. But, you know, something very old and mystic and mysterious, and something that's going to leave us with a lingering plot thread that the fans will be able to speculate on for a long time. that's essentially what I'm thinking it's gonna be. You know, it's gonna end in a very vague, ill-defined way where we're like, something really cool just happened, I don't fully understand it, but I have a lot of theories, and that's the fun part, you know. So that's why I'm saying Infinity Gate. Other people are saying, you know, Mortis stuff, which I find more unlikely, but hey, what do I know? Anyways, let me know what you guys think about episode 7. Yeah, we are almost there at the finale. Whew. All right, see you guys later. Bye.